Hi guys, I'm FPL Nymfria and welcome back to the home of FPL videos. In a week where City won 8-0 against Watford, I turned out to only have one player in the whole of that slaughter. Oh dear, here's what happened. The Pope over Ryan with my goalkeepers on my wildcard is still proving to be a nothing move, with them both now being on the same points of 24 and both getting a clean sheet. Pope added 6 points to my team total though, so it's neither here or there. Moving on to my defence, I'll move on to Lundstrom in a moment, but Digne again was disappointing. He's becoming a bit of an issue now. Everton just do not seem to be keeping the clean sheets like they were at the beginning of the season, and his attacking returns seem to have slowed down a lot. 6.1 is a lot of money in a player that isn't contributing much to the team, with just 1 point this week. Trent, on the other hand, has been ticking along nicely with his attacking returns, getting a goal this week for 7 points. Liverpool are suffering in the clean sheet department without Alisson, it has to be said, but hopefully Trent can continue to add attack where defence fails. Game week 9 and game week 10 could be a tad tricky though. Okay, Mings and Lundstrom were subbed in for me this week. I started Zinchenko and Sterling, and as we'll see when I talk about my mids, neither of them played. So I was one of the lucky ones who benefited from Lundstrom on from the bench for his 12 points from a clean sheet, an assist, minutes played and 3 bonus points. However, I was not so lucky with the Mings sub. It was looking good until the 59th minute for Aston Villa, but in this instance, I'm okay with Mings 1 point, given that Arsenal benefited from it. Moving on to my midfield, and to be honest, it looked very grim on Saturday night. I was on for a very big drop and a massive red arrow, as Norwich had blanked and Sterling was dropped to the bench and didn't make an appearance at all, whilst KDB run a madness. Sunday though saved my bacon, thankfully. Salah getting his assist for 5 points, although are 5 points worth 12.5 mil? Probably not. But I'm too terrified of selling him at this point, especially after what happened last season when I did. McGinn again was brilliant. I thought he was unlucky not to get something last game week, and he repaid my faith this game week with 10 points from his goal, minutes played and 3 bonus points, even if it was against my club. I said we're terrible in defence, and McGinn took advantage of that in full force. Thankfully for my FPL team. Although I probably wouldn't be saying that had we lost. Mount played, thankfully. He didn't return, but 2 points this week was welcomed given I had no one else coming in from him if he had missed out. So 2 points definitely better than 0 points. Moving on to my forwards, as I just explained, Norwich blanked, so Pookie just got 2 points. I had a feeling they would blank away from home. I mentioned it in last week's video and tweeted out about it. Slightly worrying though, given they are away again to Palace in game week 7. So not looking forward to that. On to my captain, Aguero. He did great for me, a goal and an assist for 9 points doubled to 18. Until that KDB goal in the 85th minute, I was actually doing great in the rankings and could have climbed a long way. But I have to say, it's more about Aguero's missed chances rather than KDB's brilliance. 5 shots off target, 3 big chances missed and hitting the woodwork twice. If he'd had completed any more of those chances, I could have counteracted KDB's points and would be in a much better place now. Lots to consider going forward in terms of the KDB versus Sterling versus Aguero argument. I'll discuss that in more detail in just a second. All of that means I ended on a total of 66 points, 14 above the average, so actually not bad at all, placing me at an OR of 217,717, that's a lot of 17s, and a green arrow, and a lot surprisingly given the state of my situation on Saturday evening. I am just grateful to see a green arrow no matter how big it is. Looking forward to game week 7, and this is how I'm looking at the moment. I have 2 transfers still after burning a transfer last week. A terrible mistake, I have to say. I really should have got Otter or Rico for Zinchenko as thought about. However, I was also considering Tomori, and that might not have gone as well this week. Mings to Rico was my other option. This too would have been better than doing nothing. Still, Well, I didn't do anything regrettably, and now I'm faced with a similar dilemma this week. I asked you guys to help me out via social media as I'm a bit stuck, so thank you for all of your replies. Lots of suggestions to do my move of last week of Zinchenko to Otamendi as FPL Salah and FPL captain Kingping suggests. I think if I wasn't so worried about Tammy or KDB, this would be the simple move for me this week, and still might be to kick things down the road a little further. However, I am tempted to -4 this week, it has to be said. On Instagram, suggestions from FPL Integrity to sell Zinchenko and Digne to get Firmino in, where Greenwood is now, is a similar suggestion to @FPL_planner and Majdi on Twitter, only moving Greenwood to Abraham with the same funds. I think I prefer the Abraham option, it has to be said. Not because I don't like Firmino, he's doing fantastically, but I just really have a gut feeling about Tammy moving forward. Lastly, of course, I've got lots of suggestions to sell Greenwood, Sterling and Zinchenko for Tammy, KDB and a 4.5 defender. As KGFPL says on Twitter and DGNAPS86YA touches upon on Instagram, very tempting. Will I regret getting rid of Sterling this week though is the main question. My thoughts on Aguero versus Sterling versus KDB is this. Aguero and Sterling are the men that haul in the City team, mostly. Of course the Silvers have been doing quite well this season, but it's usually Sterling or Aguero when they play, yet they very rarely haul at the same time. I haven't looked that up, but that's just generally how it feels. Yet KDB ticks away nicely, assisting them and getting the odd goal. So my feeling at the moment is this. It's one of Aguero or Sterling with KDB. However, I'm just not sure which. Ultimately, I will decide on this myself, but I love all the suggestions because sometimes it allows me to see something I wouldn't normally see that you guys point out. So thank you for that. And with all of that, I will now throw that same question out to YouTube. What would you do this week with my team and 2 free transfers? Do let me know in the comments section below. Now let's move on to my trending transfers, and there's definitely already been a lot of movement even though it's so early in the week. Pope is still one of the trendiest transfers this week, despite Ryan matching him for points and price. Over 32,000 plus managers have got Pope in already. It's Fabianski though who takes the trendiest goalkeeper spot so far this week, with 46,000+ of you getting the West Ham goalkeeper in. Pickford is the goalkeeper making way for Pope and Fabianski. 39,000+ managers have shifted the Everton goalkeeper out so far already. In defence, there's a definite main trend this week. Over 122,000+ managers have sold Digne ahead of his matchup at Manchester City. Zinchenko is close behind him with 118,000+ managers also hopping off the City man who missed out last game week. Otamendi is the trendiest defensive transfer in this game week, with 125,000+ of you getting him in. However, it's close between him and Lundstrom as the defensive move to do this week. It's going to be close, to which it ends up being the trendiest, with over 111,000 managers getting in the Sheffield man already. In midfield, it's also very clean cut. Sterling is dropping like a stone as 200,000+ managers shift him on ahead of game week 7, despite him scoring 4 goals away from home this season and having a rest ahead of Everton, who have conceded 9 goals already this season. James is also being moved on this game week. 64,000+ managers have sold the United man, even though he was very trendy last week. No surprises who are the big transfers in this game week in midfield though. De Bruyne is the main man being swapped for Sterling, with 180,000+ managers jumping aboard already, though Bernardo Silva is also quite trendy, with 100,000+ managers flooding to the City midfielder after his hat-trick against Watford. Sonny is also picking up pace, with 81,000+ managers plumping for the Spurs man as a cheaper alternative to Sterling. Up front, it's all about Abraham and Aguero again this game week. Abraham has 249,000+ managers on board ahead of his home matchup against Brighton. Aguero is also starting to gain some traction, with 72,000+ managers plumping for the City striker. Rashford is the biggest loser though in the striker department, with 139,000+ managers selling on the United man, who seems to have picked up an injury this week. Barnes, Greenwood, Haller and Pukki are all also being shifted shifted on for the likes of Aguero and Tammy this game week, with managers swapping one cheap asset for another or upgrading where possible. And that's it, you guys. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to check out my sponsors, fantasyfootballfix.com, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, Nymfria out.